Welcome to the Dan Casper Show podcast, your chance to catch the full show anytime, anywhere. If you missed it live on the radio, no worries. We've got you covered with all the sports talk, opinions, interviews, and conversations from the show. From the Packers to the Brewers to the biggest stories in sports and around Wisconsin, it's all right here. This is the Dan Casper Show podcast. Cruising on through. We are on to the second hour on this Thursday morning. A big thanks for making us a part of your starts if you are up and at it here this morning. Whether you're listening on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, or maybe online at sportstalk1051.com. You got your app, download it, take it on the go. You got your smart devices like Alexa, and, of course, the video stream that is up and rolling. We spent the first hour talking some Brewers as they get swept by the Padres, and now we'll begin a 4-game series with the Dodgers starting tonight. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk and more baseball talk coming up a little bit later on. Again, the Express also falling last night in their playoff game against St. Cloud, 1 game short of advancing to the Northwoods League Championship. So, but a big-time shout-out to everybody at the Express for a very, 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 very fun and awesome season. We got football tonight as the Packers will be taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, I mean, it sounds like we're going to see some of the starters play in this game, which includes Jordan Love, includes Aaron Rodgers. So we'll just see how long, or as Matt LaFleur said, he reserves the right to change his mind, which, I mean, he has done that before. So we'll see how it all kind of plays out and how long those starters will go out there and play. But with the first game coming up here, and I get it, people are like, oh, it's preseason, it's not real football. Well, you know, it's our first glimpse for a lot of the younger guys, for maybe Brandon Cisse or maybe some pivotal backups. I look at this is how I approach preseason games. I approach it, you're not going to get schemes. You're not going to get fancy play calls. You know, I hope at least. Yeah. I don't want them to do that because that's just dumb to open up your playbook. So, okay, who's going to win their one-on-ones? Who's going to win? Who's going to do their jobs? Who's going to, you know, kind of stand out? And that's how I approach this. And after a few weeks now of practice, you know, we've heard about different players kind of like, okay, they're having a really good training camp. Well, now let's see it in action too, right? Going up against somebody besides their teammates, maybe a little bit more physical. I know they have padded practices and that, but this is a game, all right? This is a game, and for the likes of a Love or a Christian Watson and those guys, I mean, no, I don't want them to play a whole lot. I don't want them to get hurt, but I want to see some of these other guys that are maybe going to have their numbers called on at some point this season. You know, when that backup is called and, all right, due to an injury, and you don't know who they are, this is the time to kind of get to know who these guys are. That's kind of how I approach these preseason games is like, okay, if that guy's number is called in the regular season, what does he bring to the table here? So, with this game coming up here, who are some of the players that you will be paying attention to the most, or who will you be watching tonight? We'll start off with you, intern. I got a few texts to get to, but who are some of the players off the top of your head that you will be paying attention to the most?
Obviously, I mean, our kicker situation with Smack is one I'm going to be paying attention to. I've heard some good things out of Cisse at training camp, so he's another one. I mean, even Marshawn Lloyd, see what he brings to the table in more preseason action. But I think the main one I'll be watching is just what Lucas Van Ness does, because I do think he's going to get meaningful playing time, and I think he's going to play a lot. He's got to show out. Yeah, especially when he's not playing against the ones. Mm-hmm. And he's got to have a preseason because we're going to need him in the regular season. And this is kind of his year. I mean, he's going into a contract year. He's got to earn it now. And if he were to be even somewhat of the draft pick that we spent on him, we'd be so much better and so much further along defensively than we are right now. Mm-hmm. So I think he's the main player I'll be watching.
I've got 5 names. If I had to put my top 5, you already mentioned a couple of those. Trace Mack, of course.
Yeah.
And honestly, let's kick a bunch of field goals tonight.
Yeah.
Let's just kick a bunch of field goals.
First down, kick it.
Yeah, I mean, you get a field goal right. Let's just kick it. Okay, let's get this guy some work in and just let's see that. I don't care if we get into a field goal game. Mm-hmm. I want as many kickoff or kick attempts as possible. So, of course, Trey Smack. Brandon Cisse, you mentioned it. I think now he's cornerback number one.
I do too.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or however you approach it, but he's going to be a starter now. I feel like he is going to open up week one as a starter. Mm-hmm. I thought maybe initially they were going to roll with Valentine and Nixon. I think the Valentine injury, kind of puts that down. Nixon has not been performing well. Cisse is CB1 now.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a first glimpse for a lot of people to kind of see him in action. And I don't know what the plan is for the Steelers, but hey, let's line him up against DK.
Yeah.
And just go one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's get him a little bit of that experience. You mentioned him too, Marshawn Lloyd. I don't know how many reps they're going to give him, but just please stay healthy the preseason. Don't pull a hammy. Don't do anything in these games. But, I think the talent is there. We've seen glimpses of it. But, dude, just stay healthy. Mm-hmm. Okay, just stop. Can you do it? So, and then two other wild cards. I'm going to go Baron Sorrell because he seems to be the leader in the clubhouse, to be the starter opposite of Lucas Van Ness until Micah Parsons comes back. So I want to see him. We got to see glimpses of him towards the last year, and we saw some good things. Mm-hmm. But I think this 3-4 style defense is probably going to be better suited for him instead of a 4-3 end defensive end. So I want to see a little bit from him. And then Jacob Monk, because we've been hearing about him more in training camp. And with Anthony Belt not having a great camp, questions about Aaron Banks, you talk about injuries, there's a very good chance Jacob Monk could be a starter week one on this team. Now, he is a center, too. Could it be possible he's center, Sean Ryan kicks over, or does he open up as guard? I don't know, but Jacob Monk might be a guy to kind of watch in these preseason games. I really think he could be a guy that, if he has a solid showing or continues to have a solid showing in these games, he might be a week one starter for Green Bay. I mean, when you got Matt LaFleur the other day saying this is a guy that just does all the right things, you talk about a guy that this is exactly the type of guy we want and all that. That's high praise. And with Belton kind of getting relegated down to the twos, and he acknowledged he has not been playing well, Look at Jacob Monk as that guy, as potentially being a starter. I think probably still at guard, but he is a center by trade, I believe from Duke. He went to college. So those are my five.
And I think in terms of Jacob Monk, I mean, we always need offensive line depth. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, we look at what injuries we had at the end of last year. We were spotty going into the playoff game with the Bears, and it kind of showed. It flashed at the end of the game when they had some big sacks on Jordan Love, especially that big sack on the last drive that gave the ball back. So I think depth is always an issue. So if he balls out and becomes the best backup offensive lineman, I mean, that's just fine by me too.
Right. Yeah. And so I think you look at we could say the offensive line as a whole too, right? For a lot of these, because even the starters, and when we open up training camp, we kind of knew who the starters were, at least on paper. I think that's changed here a little bit. But if we go back, there was questions about depth. Mm-hmm. Okay, Kennard's going to be the backup right tackle, swing tackle. But now you're hearing a little bit more about John Williams. It's like, oh, could he be the backup left tackle? You're hearing a lot of good stuff about him. So I'm really curious to see these offensive linemen, the twos and the threes, kind of what are they going to bring to the table? Because, we heard a lot about Burton in the offseason, the rookie. So I want to see these depth guys because, again, you don't want it to happen, but odds are offensive line is probably going to have some injuries. So we're going to see some of these backups get some playing time, whether it's they're going to be starting some games or they're going to be coming into a game. You're going to see some offensive linemen. And I think, we opened up training camp with questions about the depth and the talent. Maybe some of those questions will be hopefully answered in these preseason games and be getting our first glimpse here too.
Well, and you're already needing the depth a little bit because Aaron Banks is already injured. So, I mean, it's always helpful.
Yeah, I I don't know if they'd cut him because of the salary cap implications. But if he didn't have salary cap implications, I think he'd be the veteran cut at cut. That was not a good signing by
that
Goody.
whole free agency. I mean, Nate Hobbs too.
Yep, exactly. That's
rough.
It was rough. So I would not be surprised though to see Banks benched in the regular season. Even if he opens up the season as a starter, it could be a whole Jeff Saturday situation from years ago where he opens up and then it's like Evan Dietrich Smith comes in and replaces him. It's not been a great tenure for Aaron Banks with the Packers. So there's a few other honorable mention names and positions that we're going to kind of talk about, but we got to take a quick break and continue to send us. We've got Mark saying the kicker. C-Bomb says Brandon Cisse, Marshawn Lloyd, Dennis Sutton, Franklin, and Trey Smack. We've got Zach on the video stream saying I'm paying attention to the corners, but mainly I'll be watching what the offensive line does. All right. Also, we got 3 ups. It'd be nice if the Brewers win the series and take 3 out of 4. Oh, I see what you did there. So what about your 3 downs? Probably the opposite then. So, all right, we'll take a quick break. Back with more Packers talk coming up after these quick words. The countdown to fall sports is on. From Friday Night Football to volleyball, soccer, cross country. Athletes across the Chippewa Valley are getting ready to compete. But when injuries happen, getting the right care matters. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine specializes in helping athletes getting back into the game with expert orthopedic care, sports medicine, and treatment that you can trust. Whether you are a weekend warrior or a high school athlete chasing your goals, their team is here to help keep you moving. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, your partner in staying active, healthy, and ready for the season ahead. So, who are some players that you will be paying attention to the most in tonight's preseason game numero uno for the Packers? We've thrown a few out there. May I throw up a suggestion or a nomination too? How about the defensive line as well? And again, I think we need to preface all this too. There's going to be no scheming, so let's not get all wound up in overreaction Friday, depending on how this thing goes, and be like, oh, that was kind of very blah. I hope it's blah.
Yeah.
I hope it's vanilla. I don't want Jonathan Gannon to showcase what he's doing, or Matthew LaFleur and whatever. I want it vanilla. But defensive line, okay, I want to see the rookie. I want to see McKellen. I mean, we've heard a little bit from him at camp, but not a whole lot. So I want to see what he's able to do, because we're not going to see Hargrave. We're not going to see Devontae Wyatt. So how about him? How about Stackhouse? How about Warren Brinson? Because, again, kind of like the offensive line, we're going to see some of those guys, whether it's injury or rotation. They rotate those defensive linemen. I think that's going to be one to kind of watch here tonight, the big boys up front. And we haven't, I don't know. I mean, we've heard a little bit here and there, but I want to see the rookie tonight, because it seems like they really like him when they first drafted him. And, he's a kind of a physical freak. Let's see him in action. Let's see him win some one-on-ones tonight against the Steelers' O-line.
And I think in a perfect world, they want to rotate a lot this year.
Yep.
They want to keep bodies strong, healthy, and not fatigued, fresh. So I think if he were to go ball out, I mean, that just adds to our defense.
Yep. Yeah. Kind of the same with the other edge rushers, too, right? They're going to probably want a rotation. And I'm one, though. If you've got Micah Parsons, you keep him out as much as possible.
We don't need Rashawn Gary.
Right.
We have Micah Parsons.
Yep. But, we mentioned Barron Sorrell, Sutton, the rookie. Colin Oliver, I think, is an intriguing player. Last year missed all of this time. Came back at the end of the season. Got some playing time with Barron Sorrell. This is another guy that I think is going to be way better suited for this style of defense, because remember when he was drafted last year, I mean, he was a sack guy, but it's like, where does he fit because of his body type in a 4-3? He was too small to be DN, but is he a linebacker when he's more of a pass rusher? He fits this style of defense a lot better, and the fact that we didn't get to see him a whole lot last year, I'm excited to see Colin Oliver on the field and seeing what he can do and getting after the quarterback, because let's go with the mindset, pin your ears back and go. and see if you can get after that quarterback. That's kind of what I want to see too.
And he was really good at college at Oklahoma State before he got injured. And I mean, he was in all the mocks a first-round pick until he got injured. So there's definitely some potential there. And he kind of flashed a little bit in the Vikings game last year.
Yep.
And everything out of practice has been good. So it's exciting.
Yeah. One name, Albert Breer mentioned him in his Packers training camp notebook the other day. And his first couple of years have been kind of quiet, but he is a third-round pick. I wonder how big of a preseason this is going to be for Tyron Hopper. The backup linebacker, obviously we know the starters with Cooper and Zaire Franklin and Isaiah McDuffie. Those are your top three. But I think this is going to be a really, really interesting big preseason camp for him because your other linebackers, you got Nick Niemann, who's a special teams guy. Christian Welch is out there. He's a special teams guy. Hopper's got speed. He's got some athleticism, but I think we need to see it all come together in year 3 for him. And Breer mentioned him as a possible dark horse type of player. So I want to see him out there on that field and making some plays too, because they did invest a third-round pick. And I know some people are like, well, it wasn't a first. Third round is still fairly high to invest into a guy. I mean, if you're picking somebody in the third round, you envision him as being a contributor, not just somebody sitting at the end of the bench or being, a game day inactive. This is a guy that you envision being a contributor. So I think this is a big preseason for somebody like him who's entering his third year, and we haven't seen a whole lot from him at this point. So.
Yeah, and going into year 3, again, you're behind Franklin and Cooper, but those are really good guys to learn from.
Yep.
And he should have taken something from Cooper and Quay. I know Quay wasn't great, but, I mean, he was good enough to learn from. So, like you said, he's got to flash a little bit to show he deserves a spot. And even if he can get us special teams tackles, we'll take that.
Yep. Might be big just in terms of who's going to play tight end because Tucker's not playing. Luke Musgrave's not playing. Who the heck else is playing for tight end? So this might be a job where it's like, hey, whoever plays the best, you're number 2. You're going to be getting a lot of reps unless they make a move somewhere. But there's going to be a lot of names, I think, on that tight end list that a lot of fans are like, who? Who's that guy? This is a big moment for some of those guys because if none of those guys kind of ball out or stand out, if I'm Brian Gutekunst, I'm looking elsewhere for a tight end. Right now, I'm still looking elsewhere for a tight end. But I don't know if he's going to do that. You're starting to see some teams sign some veterans, like Darren Waller just signed with the Panthers. But if I'm Goody, I'm looking at this like, okay, I got to go find somebody. But if I'm Josh Weil, if I'm Drake Dabney, if I'm, Messiah Swinton, whoever.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah, right. Give me the ball. I want to showcase what I can. This is an opportunity for him. It's definitely an opportunity, but I'm nervous with this group.
I think the Packers are showing a lot of faith in Luke Musgrave right now that they haven't signed a backup tight end. I don't know what they think of him, but if they didn't expect a lot out of him, I mean, Jonnu Smith's a free agent. Mm-hmm. He's played in Matt LaFleur's system in Tennessee. I would sign him, and if you pair them, I mean, he's a really good tight end with Tucker Kraft. All of a sudden, that's a really good position group. That's who I would love them to get. But at the same time, you never know with Luke Musgrave. So
it's the neck injury that's just making me nervous. And the fact that I think it was last week or the week before, Goody said we haven't reevaluated yet because it's a timing thing. And I'm like, that does not bode well either.
Same thing happened with A.J. Dillon.
Yeah.
He was out a whole year.
Yeah. And I know they're really cautious when it comes to neck injuries, which you should be.
Yeah.
But your window's now. You're knock on wood. Something happens to Tucker. You're like, what? You're like, who else? I know they lost Jermichael in 2010. Donald Lee ain't walking through that door. Andrew Corliss ain't walking through that door. That group is uninspiring.
And you look at what happened when Tucker Kraft went down last year, our offense kind of collapsed on itself. So they've got to have somebody who can fill those shoes. And there's nobody on the roster right now that can.
Nope. I agree. Wide receiver-wise, we know the top 3.
Yep.
It's pretty cut and dry. It sounds, listening to Goody a little bit, I'm curious to see what Sky Moore is going to do from an offensive standpoint. I'm not putting a whole lot of like, oh, this is going to be a guy that's going to get you 600, 700 yards receiving. But maybe certain packages. Savion Williams, I think we got to see a little bit more from this year. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at him. Bo Melton. Isaiah Nair has been making some plays in camp, it sounds like. So outside of the top three, I think Sky Moore makes it. So maybe we say top four.
Yeah.
Savion's going to make it. But I think we just want to see the growth, from a Savion Williams, because you're hearing a lot of people talk about him as a wild card type of player. Last year he comes in and it fit the draft profile on him where they said it might take a year, find certain packages for him to get involved until he could kind of, all right. They kind of did that last year to a T. Now let's see. Again, this was it a third-round pick?
Yeah.
Yeah, third-round pick. Obviously, they view him as a contributor. I think we got to see something now.
Yeah, and like you mentioned with Tyron Hopper, as a third-round pick, you can't just be a gadget player.
Yeah.
So Savion's got to show something, especially in a wide receiver room this is the least depth we've had in a long time. Mm-hmm. So it gives him an opportunity to step up, and even though he shouldn't have been playing over Golden last year, he didn't really flash at all. I mean, he had that one touchdown, but nothing really happened. So it gives him an opportunity to step up, and we're probably going to need him this year. Mm-hmm. So he's another guy to watch tonight.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys to watch, and that's where if you are maybe a Debbie Downer when it comes to preseason games, look at all these names that we're mentioning and just kind of like, okay, watch for this guy, watch for this guy, watch for that guy. What is he going to do? And there's a lot. Just put your scout. That's how I put my scouting cap on. And you can kind of act. We all act like a Monday morning quarterback after games and general managers and coaches. This is how I approach preseason games is like, put your scout, put your GM cap on. Who stood out? Who deserves a spot? Especially on the offensive line and defensive line.
Yeah. You're
going to see these backups play, right? I mean, we're going to see these guys play. John Williams has been making some noise in camp. He might be your backup left tackle. If you haven't heard that guy's name before, you're not the only one. But this is why you pay attention. So if his number is called, pay attention. So this is how I kind of approach it, and I'm just glad we get football back.
Yeah, the football's back. Football's back.
That's the main thing. So let's talk some more football here. I'm going to throw a what if. I know it's not Wednesday. We usually do a what if Wednesday. I wish I would have thought of this yesterday, but I'm going to throw a what if when it comes to somebody on the other sideline today for tonight's game. And I'm going to talk a little Michael McCarthy coming up after these quick words. It happens every single year. 1 minute you're grilling some burgers, heading to the lake, and watching the kids play outside. And the next thing you know it, you're shopping for school supplies and wondering where the heck summer went. Well, before the backpacks come out and the busy fall schedule takes over, now is the perfect time to freshen up your home with new flooring from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Whether it's soft new carpet for the family room, durable luxury vinyl planks for those for maybe some muddy rooms or muddy boots or throughout the whole home, the team at Carpet City Flooring Center will help you find the perfect floor for your family and your budget. They are locally owned, they know Wisconsin homes, and they're committed to making the process easy from start to finish. Make the most of these last weeks of summer. Stop on in to Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire today, because home is where Wisconsin families make their best memories. I want to play a little what if here, because obviously we know going over to Pittsburgh, a lot of Green Bay connections there. James Cameron, a lot of the assistant coaches, Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy, the two big ones. And you're seeing a lot of Rodgers and McCarthy asking a lot of questions or answering a lot of questions about their time together, reuniting, obviously, with what they were with together in Green Bay. I want to throw a what if, because I think Mike McCarthy is kind of a lightning rod of a topic for Packers fans. He does have a Super Bowl championship with the team, and I feel like a lot of people don't give him enough credits for. They just say, "Well, you had Aaron Rodgers." I would flip it and say Aaron Rodgers had Mike McCarthy to kind of help develop him. I want to throw kind of a weird what if. What if, hear me out here, what if Ted Thompson had retired earlier And let's say Goody would have been general manager for a few years. I know Goody was GM for like half of Mike McCarthy's final season. But towards the end, those final few years, and I'm not trying to knock Ted Thompson, but let's say Mike McCarthy had a different GM his last few years in Green Bay. A little bit more aggressive in free agency with the back end of Aaron Rodgers' career. A little bit more, pushing the chips in the middle. Would Mike McCarthy have another Super Bowl with Green Bay?
It's hard.
Would he be viewed upon better, maybe worse? And let's assume that the new GM would keep Mike McCarthy. Let's assume that. We could say let's make it a little bit easier. We've kind of seen a track record now of Goody, right? He's a little bit more aggressive in free agency. He's been aggressive with trades. Micah Parsons. Let's say he becomes the general manager in 2014, 2015, right after they went to the NFC Championship game against Seattle. They were that close. Does Green Bay have another title if Mike McCarthy has a different general manager at the back end?
That's a good question. I mean, the hard part is like what would he have done differently? Mm-hmm. Like trying to think back and try to predict what he have done differently.
I look at, scroll down just a skosh more. Go right up. The 2017, that 2016 NFC Championship game. Remember that season, they went on that run. I think we can run the table. It was that year, the 4-6 Packers. And they threw out their Ladarius Gunter at corner, their number one corner, a lot of those guys. Would they have been in that situation with a maybe more aggressive general manager where they would have been maybe better depth, better prepared, better talent? Because let's say after that 2014 NFC Championship game, they're like, okay, we're going to, Ted Thompson says, I'm going to retire, I'm going to move on. They promote Goody. Okay, we got a good team. Where can we maybe be just a little bit more aggressive? Building upon that 2014 season.
I mean, maybe. The hard part is Goody's a really good GM. He just doesn't draft well either, or hasn't drafted great. And so I think that kind of plays into it a little bit there. Because in that season, like you said, I mean, we weren't supposed to be in the playoffs after the start we had. Mm-hmm. And the run so they wouldn't have been buyers at the trade deadline. They wouldn't have added anybody specifically. I mean, it took an incredible throw and catch from Aaron Rodgers to James Cook to get us to that game, and an actual kicker. But that's a good question. I mean, you kind of look at where we're going this year with the cornerback room and a lot of similarities.
I don't know. I was thinking about that last night, kind of because there's been so many interviews with Mike McCarthy, and we know we're told this is Rodgers' last year. I shouldn't say we know, but I mean, that's what he's saying. And I honestly believe it is going to be his last year.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Part of me wants to say yes. It is a big unknown. We don't know, right? We won't know how it's all gonna play out. It's a nice what if. It's a nice kind of barstool, banter with your friends type of conversation. But were they a couple pieces away from potentially going to another? It's hard. I mean, when you have Aaron Rodgers still playing at a higher level, you had younger Devontae Adams. You had you had that offensive line. Were they if they just add a couple more defensive pieces in free agency with a new GM, or they make a trade? It's hard not to think. Does Mike McCarthy get too much flack because of the end of Ted Thompson's tenure as general manager, where Ted Thompson didn't do enough to put him in a position?
Yeah, I think that's possible. I mean, Goody's done all he can to get us in position. So I just think the hard part is I do think Ted Thompson put us in some positions to win. And I hate to bring it up, but I mean, 2014, we recover an onside kick. We're in the Super Bowl. I mean,
that's not Ted Thompson's fault.
Not at all. In 2016, the Falcons were just better.
Yep.
But then you go down the line, and we've had some pretty talented teams, and we just haven't been able to get over the hump.
And I think the knock on Thompson for those teams were they were so young. If they would have had a couple more veterans, would that have pushed them over the top?
Yeah, and that's reasonable.
But you also look at the other NFC Championship game against Tampa Bay. You know, it's like
San Francisco. I mean, and even look at this last year. I mean, Goody didn't really go out and add many veterans. He added Hargrave, but last year we couldn't recover an onside kick either. So I think they're Ted Thompson and Brian Gutekunst. They're very similar GMs, but I think that's a good question.
I think Goody's. I don't think Ted Thompson would have traded 2 first-round picks for Mike.
I don't think so.
That I don't think he would have went on the spending spree that he did in. Was it 2019, 2020 was Za'Darius and Preston Smith and Adrian Amos. And I remember doing the show that morning. I'm like, that's cool. 5 minutes, another one? 5 minutes, another one? You know, I was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
Or even cutting Aaron Jones and signing Josh Jacobs. I don't think that move would have been done by Ted Thompson.
No. But it is something just to kind of think about. And you know, I know people say what you want about Mike McCarthy's record. Should he have had another Super Bowl? Probably with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, they made a few championships, and remember too, he made one with Favre. You know, with that 2007 season. I just wondered, was he given enough resources towards the back end? That it's something that that we'll never know the real answer, right? I mean, we'll never. I mean, you look at the Rams. They're saying screw those picks again and going all for it.
But it worked.
It worked.
And they're right back.
And they got another aging quarterback, so they're like, let's try it again. Let's try to get another one. Because it's all about winning now, right?
Yep.
So
you worry about your future later.
Right.
Well, and the Rams did a good job of mortgaging their future because they're right back here with a team that's ready to win another Super Bowl.
Yep. So, all right. Let's take our final break here as we start to wrap up the second hour, and we'll hit halftime. Don't forget to send us your questions for Mr. Boakes, Conservation Warden for the great state of Wisconsin. Text those on over to our Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. We'll take a quick break and back with plenty more coming up after these quick words. If you're from Wisconsin, you know that there is something special about this time of year. The days are getting a little shorter. The evenings are starting to cool off. And before you know it, hunting season will be here. That means now is the time to get your gear ready. Whether you need a new firearm, ammunition, optics, maybe some other accessories, or just some advice, make Tilden Gun your very first stop. The folks at Tilden Gun aren't just there to help sell you equipment. They're hunters too. They know what works. They're happy to answer your questions, and they'll help make sure that you're ready long before opening morning arrives. So don't wait until the last minute. Stop by Tilden Gun, get geared up, and start counting down the days to another great Wisconsin fall. Tilden Gun, helping Wisconsin hunters make the most of every season. Happy hunting and good luck this upcoming fall. Maybe you're getting set for bear hunting. Trying to do a segue for Packers Bears because there's a Bears thing. Possibly today. So this was from yesterday. There's a report that we could find out today or make it official that the Bears will be in Indiana.
Yep.
And here's a little fun nugget with this thing. So this is from Ben Devine. He had tweeted out yesterday. A finalized stadium deal is expected tomorrow with the Bears landing in Indiana. Per source, Indiana is so heavily incentivizing the deal as to include a name change with Indiana in the team name when the stadium completes. If you are a Bears fan, I need to know your thoughts on that. Now, I'm still skeptical that they would actually change the name from Chicago Bears to Indiana Bears or the Gary Bears. Anything other than Chicago Bears, I would be surprised. But if it were to happen, I need to know from Bears fans what your thoughts would be, what your reaction would be to that. I could say, just as a Packers fan, it'd be weird. I don't even know if I'd like it because I think it kind of takes away a little bit from the historicness, the rivalry part of it. It's like it's always Green Bay, Chicago, and I don't know if we talk about players in different jerseys and how weird that is. This would take the cake in terms of like teams. Like I still say San Diego Chargers.
Yeah,
I'm getting better with the Raiders. This would take the cake if it was the Indiana Bears. Like nothing, I don't think, could ever compete to that. At least the Chiefs, they're moving to a different state. They might just drop the city and still be like Kansas Chiefs or something like that. This would be completely different. I'm still skeptical whether that would happen. But I got to know, if you're a Bears fan and all of a sudden, let's say today, you find out it's going to be the Indiana Bears and no longer the Chicago Bears, what would your thought be?
I think, like you said, it does take away some historical significance. Just because when you go back through the records, I mean, it's Packers-Bears, or Packers-Chicago. But I think that rivalry will still be there for now. Mm-hmm. But it would be weird to try to call them Indiana. Yeah, Indiana.
I couldn't do it. I don't know if I could do it.
Like, that's the Colts, Indianapolis.
Right.
The Colts, not the Bears.
I mean, if they're called, like, Indiana Bears, if you're the Colts and, like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, what, hold on, pump the brakes here for a sec. Also, wouldn't it be weird that Indiana would have two football teams in the state of Illinois would be zero sort of thing? But I'm still, I don't want to get into the politics of it all. Yeah. I'm still shocked that this is going to happen, that the Bears are leaving Chicago. Mm-hmm. And I get it. When you look at a lot of teams, the Giants, Jets, technically they're in New Jersey. I understand that. San Francisco, Dallas. I remember as a kid watching Cowboys games and, they'd say at the bottom where it's at, it says Irving, Texas. And I'm like, what? But they're the Dallas guy. Like, it never dawned on me as a young kid. And technically, if you want, you can say, well, Ashwaubenon is where Lambeau Field. Okay. Go across this road and then you're fine. It's like us. We're technically in Altoona. Our address right now, the studio is Altoona. Go right over there. It's Eau Claire. So that's, it's weird. It would be weird. And I know the distance isn't that far off, but a name change? I don't know about that.
I think it's just funny that, both teams are extremely historical, but the fact that we, without an owner, have been able to keep our team in this state and they can't. That's just weird to me.
How? So let me spin this then and turn it into a Packers question. What if Green Bay said, all right, we're going to become the Wisconsin Packers? What would Packers fans' reactions be to that? It's still Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It doesn't say Green Bay, though.
I wouldn't like it.
I was going to say, I don't think a majority would like it, even though it would still be Wisconsin. The fact that it's Green Bay, though.
Yeah.
Green Bay. I think a majority would not like it. Mm-mm. Even though it would still be. Everything else is the same. Lambeau Field is the same. You still play in Green Bay. We're just going to say we're the Wisconsin Packers. I don't think people would get on board with that.
I wouldn't. Mm-mm. I don't know why, but it just doesn't have the ring to it.
It's so ingrained, I think. That's what we know. It's the G, right? It's the G. Yeah. Because you couldn't have the G then anymore.
Mm-mm. That's true.
Are we going to have another version of the W, the switch W? No.
No.
You'd have to do that. You'd have to change that. And
definitely not.
No, right? So we're supposed to, I think the Packers yesterday, too,
rivalry.
The rivalry jersey.
Will the Bears have to change their C to an
They've
I?
been talking about that.
Because they're not Chicago.
Yeah. But somebody did say they've been kind of moving away from that C logo too already.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
But
Just
still,
be a bear, but that is...
Yeah.
Yikes.
I don't like the rivalry jerseys when it comes to a rivalry like this because it's going to be completely... I never liked Green Bay wearing white at home when Chicago was coming.
It's a away game then, pretty much.
Yes. That was my mindset. Yeah. Like, there's the jokes. You just set it up on a platter for everybody in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what it's going to look like.
It's scary with the Packers' new uniforms always because yellow and green, they don't mix great. And it's hard to pair with different colors. Mm-hmm. So it's always scary when they announce we're getting new uniforms.
Yeah, and everything is just so... Like, I do not like the nickel Bills jerseys.
Oh, no.
Those are, I do not like that. And that's what I don't want to see from Green Bay in a game like this. And I get it, it's a business and they're making money off of this and people buy the jerseys and all the swag. And I get it. I understand it. It's all for profit. But
I also think they're going to go with a green helmet. I really hope they don't.
You know, there's a helmet. And I don't know if this has anything to do with it. And I've seen it for a while. Shields has a full size of it. And I'm like, that's actually a really cool helmet. And because I'll be in Green Bay next week. And I'm like, do I have to get it for the man cave, the mini version?
Okay.
Let me show you. Now, I don't know if this would be the helmet. But I kind of like it if it is going to be the helmet. Now, this is just me. Again, I don't know if this would be the version of it. Let me see if I can bring it up here quick before the top of the hour.
Because we do have, we have three different helmets right now. We've got the yellow one, we've got the
white
throwback, and the white one.
Yeah.
The throwback is weird with the leather look, but...
I have the mini version of that because
that's sick.
Yeah. Let me see if I can bring it up here really quick. Oh, nope, not that one. This one. So it's got two logos on it. It's kind of a cream color. And then...
Yeah, I could get on board with that.
Right?
That's better than, yeah.
I'd be intrigued with that.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's the one, but, like, they've got the full size out. I saw it on display at Shields, and then that's at the pro shop with the mini ones.
So maybe.
I like the cream color.
Yeah.
And the old logo. And then the Packers script on the side.
Yeah, the old logo is pretty cool.
Yep.
What does that say about the jerseys, though, is the question.
That's...
Like, they can't go all white. Please don't go gray.
No. Would they go cream color? Like Bucks cream color jersey?
Oh. That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't...
All yellow? Yikes.
Because I was looking at like the description and it doesn't really give you a whole lot. It just says green and gold retro decals. So, but
interesting.
Mm-hmm. I might have to add that one. Usually I only add helmets if they've actually worn them in a game.